What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Logic Bomb podcast, episode 6. And last week, we talked about everything that happened at the Invitational, the big year 5, year 6 reveal. There was a lot to go over. This week, we're kind of settling in. We spent a good bit of time on the test server, all of us, trying out the new stuff. And I think that's where we're going to start. There's also some news tidbits going around that I'm sure we'll discuss as the episode goes along here. But let's start out with, the test server. I mean, I've been in there a good bit as well as you guys. What are you guys thinking so far?
Who's going first? Because I bet we've had quite different experiences on the test server. I'll tell you something. I've played a great deal of it, but then I went back and I played maybe 9 games of ranked in the normal game, and the one thing I'm really missing, there's all this sexy new content, but the one thing is the barricade debris, because I went to do a naughty little spawn peek, and the big bit of wood just fell there and blocked my face. I'm like, bloody hell, I cannot wait to get this into the main game when it goes live. But other than that, the test server's been a real mixed bag for me. I mean, new content aside, there's lots of exciting stuff to try out and play with, but it's just that thing of, because I solo queue a lot, not necessarily getting the best teammates, and a lot of people are kind of, which I get, they're not taking it particularly seriously, and I don't really. But when you're getting team killed, quite, I'd say 25% of the games in ranked, not on the Discovery playlist. And do you see that tweet I did the other day of the Echo? So it was I was dead, so I was spectating my team on defense, and then this Echo, we got a guy defusing. All the enemies are dead as well, so we just got 2 guys up. There's a guy defusing. Our Echo runs through, just caps him in the head. This is on Consulate, and then he just runs outside and just sits out until the defuse, just to be a troll. But I've encountered so much of that. But I think it's because a lot of people are letting off steam on the test server. But it does make it hard for you to kind of enjoy the content to some degree, I think. I've got a better idea now as well of the 2 new operators. I don't think they're going to be... I think they're going to be interesting and stuff, but I don't know if they're going to be like meta-defining now I've had more time with them. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I sort of get a feeling that, they're an operator you'll choose from time to time, a bit like a Nomad or a Nook, right? The new attacker. That's the way I'm feeling about it. It's not one I'm going to be running particularly often. The Defender maybe a bit more, but again, I've played more. I found him really map dependent.
Yeah, I've cooled down on the Defender a little bit, but Yana, I'm still really high on.
But you play a lot with other people, right?
Yes, that's a huge difference. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Because I think if you're solo queuing, you're going to struggle to get the maximum out of her. I think you'd be able to get use out of her, but I think you're not going to get what if you're playing with a friend who can call out what he's seeing when he's running into rooms.
Mm-hmm. I think my brain is melting together in one pot, jumping from TTS to live build. Mm-hmm. I've had a few of those barricade issues as well.
Yeah.
You run up and you want to do that like 1 plank spawn peak or something. You hit it and it's fully open. You're like, damn.
Yeah. You give up on that one. Move on.
Yeah. I found a few new ones, so I'm good on that one. I spent the whole morning going through Oregon trying to like find ways to set it up and ways to play it, little tricks and things you can do on the map. And I really enjoy the rework. For the operators, Oryx seems fun, but for me, he honestly seems a little bit like a Cav 2.0.
I've heard that from a couple of people, and I see that. Yep.
Like, it's great. You can get that flank off sometimes, right? A Claymore above a hatch, and he insta-dies, though. Like, instantly. The second he puts his arm up to just hang there, he dies. And he doesn't bring much utility. If it wasn't for him also having a deployable cam and the bailiff, I think it would be impossible to justify him. I think at least it's going to be easier for them to balance him if he becomes a problem, because that's just take the bailiff away. Problem solved. Have other people need to open the hatch for him. That would drastically nerf him, but I don't think he's that strong, to be honest. Yana, or Lana, as I keep calling her, I don't know. I think she's She's a worse Twitch.
Well, explain that, because you mentioned that last week as well. Like, I don't get the comparison to the Twitch. What do you mean by that?
Well, so the reasons I've heard for her like being strong is, for example, you could use her to entry frag, right? So you have her run in first with a holo, and then you have someone running in right after. Fair enough. I think it would be harder to shoot a drone than the hologram. If you shoot the hologram, it's just gone, right? Whereas with a drone, I might be able to place it and then use that later. If I see something with a hologram, let's say I run into a room and there is a Capcan trap, a Valkyrie cam, a Maestro cam, I can't do anything about it. A Maestro cam will one-stab a holo as well, and I didn't get that much info from it. At least with a normal drone, I might be able to like jump around, make it difficult to shoot. And with a Twitch drone, I can actually actively remove things. Now she has grenades, right? So that's one thing. At least she brings some utility. But the only thing I can see value-wise with her is that you can drone in times where you normally wouldn't otherwise be able to drone. I just think a lot of that comes down to not wasting your drones in prep phase, especially in ranked, right? I mean, I'm sure we're all guilty of that. I'd say probably 80% of my rounds, I end up just yeeting my drone into sight, and then it gets shot, and then I just have one drone for the rest of the game, which normally gets shot with the first defender I meet anyway. But if I get my stuff together and I keep a pocketed drone, I normally don't feel like I need to drone that much more. The fact that it's on a timer as well, it's like you run in, it gets gunned, and you don't really have much info because it takes quite a while to get ready on the gun again. And you're stuck. It's such an audible cue when it happens. Mm-hmm. I think like right now, one of the funniest things is to toggle her hologram, instantly toggle it off, and then run in yourself. Because people literally try to like just shoot once because they just think it's a hologram. And you can kind of trick people with that, but that's going to work as long as alibi tricking worked, right? Like everyone's going to mow you down. I just find it difficult to justify her value on a team where if we say that you're running Thermite, Hibana, Thatcher, Sophia, and Buck, it's really hard for me to put her in a normal attacking lineup without feeling like I give up a ton of better operators.
What about when we get the hard breach secondary gadget?
Potentially, yes.
So the one thing I'll say with comparing her gadget to a drone is it doesn't get stopped by a Mozzie Pest. And I think that is really strong. Mozzie is about as meta as any operator can be right now. And so being able to send her hologram in past a pest and still get the information that's required back there is really, really strong in my opinion. With that said, I totally get what you're saying. In some ways, there's a lot of situations where a regular drone would be stronger, especially if there's not a defender nearby and you can set that drone up on a rotation, or you can set it up in the site and get consistent information from it throughout the entire course of the round. I definitely get that. I just think that information is the strongest utility that we have in this game. And so there are a lot of ways to get information, excluding her, but any operator that has the ability to gather information as easily as she can throughout the entire course of the round, I just feel like she will have a place. Maybe not in the top 5 attackers, but I think that she'll have a place. And I also think that at the end of the day, the ARX, I'm really starting to like that gun with a foregrip, even though it only has that 20-round mag. And then she has grenades. So at the end of the day, even if you're not getting a ton out of that information, you still have an operator who's very capable in getting frags. And I think that's a recipe for an operator that's going to do at least decent in ranked. Let's think about... I think she'll do fine.
Yeah.
I really do. But like Dokkaebi. If you were to pick Yana, just Dokkaebi.
Instead of
that pulls people off cams. It gives you intel, like a ton of intel if you actually kill somebody and steal them, right? Sure, she lost her grenades, which is actually pretty big. But the fact that it pulls people off and now pulls Echo off as well, right?
Yes.
I completely agree. Information is the single strongest currency we have in Siege. It goes both for defense and attack. But I just think every time you want to take a Yana, you're better off with something else. But she's fun.
She's really fun.
Like, she's fun to play. So is Nook.
Nook?
I think there's space for Nook.
Nook is a monster now. Like, legit, Nook is a monster now. She is. Like, people who aren't paying attention to Nook, you need to give her another look. Give Nook another look. There's the title of the podcast, boys. Cha-ching.
Fair enough.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. I just had to make our catchphrase.
Go for it, man. I hope that never sticks.
I can see it on a t-shirt, on a mug.
Oh man.
I mean, Nook's in a weird spot. Like, if you manage to break through someone's like people sitting on cams, she can instantly win you around. But if people are just holding angles and not on cams, which, let's be fair, most of rank is, she's so bad.
The grenades help,
I echo that.
Yeah, they do.
I echo that. If I see, the best way to explain it is if I see a teammate pick a Nook, usually I'm thinking, couldn't you have not picked someone else? You know, I've got an idea in my head of who I would rather that, you know, from solo queuing. Like, why haven't we got a hard breach or something like that? But
it just seems like the new Ashe, right?
Yeah.
New Ashe or the Caveira on attack is the way I would compare sometimes.
Yeah, no, I just mean more like the Ashe mentality of like the reason so many people play Ashe, or I mean, I'm probably gonna piss people off, but like you kind of push all your responsibility aside because everyone knows this guy is either running in and acing or he's the first one to get clapped by Frost Trap, right? Like there's those two options.
It's relinquishing all responsibility. I've taken Ashe, I've taken Nook. You know what I'm here for, boys. You get the walls open, you get the diffuser down.
You do the team stuff. I'm gonna go kill.
To go back to your Dokkaebi point, because I think that is a fair point, and I will readily admit, like Dokkaebi outside of like hard breach and like the EMPs, those gadgets on attack, Dokkaebi probably has the strongest attacker gadget in my opinion. But it's the weapons. And I know that's an opinion thing. It's not going to be true for every single player out there, but you have to admit there's a large group of players that struggle with DMRs, and that turns a lot of people off of Dokkaebi. So yes, that gadget is brilliant. Well, I mean, brilliant is not the word I would use to describe it normally. It's really powerful, but I still hesitate to bring her out of frustration of winning gunfights.
Oh, man, that makes sense. I mean, like her gun, even if you were really good with her gun, you'd still probably be better with Yana, right?
Right.
Like it's just full auto wins, rate of fire wins, and sure now DMRs can at least open hatches. That kind of matters, right? What is it, like 6 shots to open a hatch or something? It's actually kind of neat because you don't have to bring sidearm shotguns anymore for it.
Yeah.
On certain maps. And it's much better for making holes in floors as well. But I don't know, like then Jackal has an insane gun and a sidearm shotgun, and he almost works the same way as Yana, where you can put your scanner on. Mute messes with both of them, so that wouldn't be an argument either, right?
Yep.
Where you can like kind of lean in and look around a corner, and you can see is there footsteps like going away from this doorway to the left or right. And then you can kind of get an idea of if there's people there. It's not that I hate Yana. Don't get me wrong. We just only have 5 slots, and I'm biased because I'm trying to think of what gives you the biggest chance of winning. If we just look at it from a fun rating, pretty much throw everything out I say, and then I'd probably pick Yana and Ashe over most other operators because they're hilarious to play, right? It's really fun when you do something. And I hate being the IQ running around outside, shooting all the cams, getting the batteries, all that stuff. It's not that interesting. But if your main goal is to win, sometimes that's just much, much better.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. As far as it works, I like I said, he's kind of cooling off for me a little bit. I'm finding, but where I've had a lot of success with him is evasion. So getting an early kill, like an entry kill, killing the entry. Like if I'm going off site as a roamer and I'm picking up that kill in like the first 30 seconds of the round, he's like the best operator of getting out of there with your life, because he can bash through a wall, end up in a spot where people aren't going to expect him, and really evade that trade that the other attackers are trying to like clamp down on you with, or go up a hatch or something like that. I've done that a few times and felt like that was really useful. But as far as ever like using his gadget to like come up a hatch and get like a crazy flank off, it's not happened as much as I thought it would. I think attackers are realizing, oh, this hatch is open. Okay, well, we need to pay attention to that. And people are learning that much faster than I thought. I almost feel like if you're going to flank somebody, you have to open the hatch and then jump up immediately. You can't open it in the prep phase and have the same success.
The thing is with him as well, if you're droning in on attack and you see him, say if you're playing Clubhouse and you see him, you're kind of happy because you think, okay, well, that's some utility there that I'm glad they don't have a pulse, or they don't have a Jaeger, or they don't have a mute or a Valkyrie. So I'm kind of happy. But then if you're playing on a consulate or a bank or something, then it's like, oh, sugar, like this is now going to be a bit of a pain in the arse, because it's not just going up hatches. You could drop down a hatch and then come up a different couple of hatches. Do you know what I mean? So there is a lot of that sort of rotation going on. But overall, he's not the most scary operator for me to come up against. Like if I see him, I'm okay with that. I
think that's exactly how I look at it as well. I think Villa is probably one of the maps where I really enjoy playing him, because you can hide in basement, then you can jump up in reading room with. So no matter if they got the stairs covered, that doesn't really do anything, right? But like Clubhouse, if your basement, nah, right? You can jump up kitchen hatch, cool. Like there's going to be people there, 100% going to be people there, and you're not quick enough. You can hear him go ooh when he's about to jump up, right? On top floor bomb sites, if he gets an early pick and then gets away, that's amazing. But most of the time, you'd be able to get that early pick and then take the stairs, because they wouldn't have set up yet. And I guess going back up to like janitor or something is pretty neat. But it also means that all of these hatches now have to be open on defense, or at least they end up being open when you go back through them. So the people playing in those areas now got to worry about getting shot from them as well.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, as you say, Pete, you kind of just accept, or you kind of smile and you go, oh, I'm just glad that this is one less trap operator, or one less camera up.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Like, I don't think he's going to have a big impact at all.
But
he's fun and he does what he promises to do, but I'm
glad he exists though, because he could be fun going forward, and there could be a time in the future where he comes in a little bit more than perhaps he isn't. There could be something that happens. That was something I wanted to talk about, actually. Perhaps not this podcast, but in the future, because during that year 5, year 6 reveal, they talk so much about taking aspects of the game that are basic and considered, staples of the game, and just changing them. They talked about the prep phase. JB Jean-Baptiste during that reveal said something about the prep phase, and they've got big plans for it, and changes to armor and speed. So I feel like we're going to see a lot of changes, reworks to not just operators and maps, but the mechanics in the game that we take for granted right now. So I think it's going to be an interesting time. I would actually like to talk about that at some point.
I think that's an interesting point. I'd like to talk a little bit about it now, because I heard the same thing, and my mind kind of went racing with what could they possibly do.
Because he was talking about the prep phase. It's a time where you go to the loo or put the kettle on, and you come back.
I went back and watched my beta review the other day of this game, and one of the things I said in that, which keep in mind the rule set was much different there. I think it was all 4-minute rounds at that time. Is I said there is a lot of, if you die early in the round, there is a lot of downtime between that death and the next time that you're going to be back in action. Because I want to say in the beta, they gave you the option to choose where your drone spawned as well, or there was some type of different rule set during.
No, it spawned where you spawned, I think.
Or was it? They would allow you to choose your site in casual, I think, in the beta. In beta, I seem to remember picking your defensive site, and I just remember like in my beta review saying like if you die early in the round, there's a lot of downtime, and I do think that's always been a hurdle for new players in this game. Especially, it's one thing if you jump in with a group of friends, and you're trying this game for the first time, but you have a group of friends that have been playing it for a while. But if you are solo and you jump in, you're playing this game solo, then I think that's always been a hurdle for that player to get over, is the amount of downtime that they have in between deaths.
I think it is even for some veteran players, because even though the game's been sped up, like shortened round time, the fact that we have 2 sets of drones that can be active at the same time, all of that, people get very, very not tilted, but their mindset changes quite quickly if they die quickly a couple of rounds in a row, right? Because all of a sudden it feels like you didn't really actually play the game for 15 minutes straight.
Right.
You've just been waiting. And I don't know, he had a good point when he said the prep phase on attack. Like, what are you actually doing? Your best thing most of the times is to get a drone, to look for a drone hole somewhere outside so you can see and cut off rotates, or drive it back to spawn. You're sitting there for 30 plus seconds just doing nothing. Just because you have to wait for the defenders to get a chance, right? It's like a countdown in hide and seek. And you have that every round, right?
Yeah.
There must be something that could be changed to, I don't know, get us more playtime. I don't know how much of it'd be fun to see, like out of a 3-hour play session, how much time are you actually playing? Because I'm sure it probably resembles NFL to some extent, right? Where you instead of it being commercials, it's just you're on. And what if all the cameras are dead?
Yeah.
Like then it becomes really boring, because now you have to sit and spectate the guy who didn't do the monkey peek and is still alive, right? And then you feel even more at fault for dying early. I don't know what they could possibly do, but it'd be lovely. And with the base mechanic stuff, I kind of like the fact that we get stuff like Amaroon, Oryx, and Nook. I don't know if I can call them one-trick ponies, but things that are very, very difficult to fit in. Because once we have a lot of operators, like a lot, these base mechanics are going to start mattering way more.
Yeah.
Because there might be stuff in the future where, a certain thing becomes meta, and then one of these operators really mess with it. And I'd rather have them now and not have them have that big of an impact.
I agree.
Than if we look at when trap operators were introduced to start with.
Yeah.
Like the real ones, Ella and Lesion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they kind of came out at a time where it would have been nice if they came out later. But I mean, now at least we're used to them. We know how to deal with them and what to do. These don't seem to upset anything, and maybe it's something we learn to appreciate or use later on.
I think to play into that point, Warden's a perfect example. If Warden doesn't exist right now, I don't think that they could even think about putting Ying in the state that she's currently in. And she might be a bit much right now anyway. They just gave her frag grenades. They buffed her Candelas the patch before last to make them much more effective. Give Ying
another go.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of what I could make up there. Give Ying another look though. But my point is that now she can be strong, and we can say, okay, bring a Warden. That's gonna, hopefully counter that out. But if Warden doesn't exist, I don't think that they can make her the way that she is right now.
Yeah, 100%. I was playing with I think it was Una. We were joking about the fact that we might legitimately see people burning ADSs with the grenades.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like that, so that's an actual okay thing to do now.
Mm-hmm.
But the grenade buff doesn't matter that much overall, because like Mav getting nades is cool. Now he kind of lines up with the rest of the Heartbreakers in terms of like what could be done, right? Ying getting nades, that's, I mean, big buff. Nook and Yana, well, they are hard to fit in, right? Like they're kind of hard to fit in. So you're not gonna see like you're gonna see one set of nades more at max, probably in a normal attacking lineup in ranked at least. But it is a bit terrifying with potentially a Jaeger band or a Jaeger just not putting his ADSs the right spot, and you get 2 Candelas in, 2 nades, and then a 3rd Candela and an actual Ying.
Dude, you know what I just thought of? That honestly, it makes it feel insane that they gave Ying grenades. Okay, let's picture this. You are the warden, and you just got wrecked the round before by the Ying. Okay, so you're like, oh, here's my chance. I'm a warden. I'm pulling him out. I'm going to be useful. So you hear Ying through the first Candela. You use your glasses. Works perfectly. At that moment, you see the grenade icon light up, and then you're dead. And imagine that feeling. You're like, no, I'm here. I'm doing exactly what I'm doing. And all it took was for Ying to throw 1 Candela, bait you out. And then the next one's a grenade and you're dead. So that, yeah, I mean, they're just gonna have to keep an eye on that.
So I think if they want to keep nades, I don't think they're gonna keep nades on. I think this nade thing is to do with testing, taking gadgets away from operators for the potential Heartbreak.
Maybe.
I would assume that's probably the plan. I mean, Maverick is hopefully gonna keep his because I don't see him getting a Heartbreak gadget on top, right? But like Ying with a Heartbreak thing, that kind of makes sense. Yeah, I'd rather see that than you could make a little hole and then throw your Candelas in. But I almost think at that point, if we start seeing that much of Ying, they should play around with not allowing her the timer stuff that she does. I don't think that's ever going to be a thing because that would be removing a part of the gadget. But I kind of like the idea of her having the max time on it, so you have to think about how it bounces and where it goes. Because most Ying players right now are just cooking it, throwing it in, and then it just lands wherever it lands, right? Like Macy did a really good video about how it rolls and how it always keeps rolling the same direction after it bounced off. And it'd be nice to see people actually play around with that mechanic.
Yeah.
Instead of just blindly throwing it into a room and then yoinking in there.
I basically do that. I use it like a stun grenade. I'm totally guilty. I cook it to the max, and then in it goes, and I follow. Yeah.
We were talking about Warden there. I had somebody actually ask a question the other day that I thought was really interesting. I want to get your guys' feedback. What if Warden's glasses would allow him to see attacker gadgets similar to IQ? But let me like narrow it down a little bit, because I think like your brain can go a lot of different places right there. So one of the problems I feel like with Warden is that, 1, his gadget's only useful depending on what the attackers bring. And 2, his gadget is very likely to only be useful for like 15 seconds of the round, depending on how the attacking round goes. So you have an entire operator shaped around a maximum situation of being in the right place, right time for like 15 seconds. If you could activate his gadget and see drones through walls, would that be too strong? You know,
that feels strong.
It does feel strong. It really does, to be able to just call out to your teammates where every drone is on the map. I mean, I guess you give it a range. You know what I mean? Let's say it has a 10-meter range, but you know, you could turn on your glasses. Okay, there's no drones here in the site. Okay, you turn on your glasses. Hey, there's a drone a floor above me. Hey, there's a roamer in the next room. Hey, by the way, there's a drone coming your way right now.
You're terrifying.
I know that is scary, but it's also kind of like, oh, I don't know. That could be.
All right, so hear me out. You do that. Now we have Mossy mute.
Oh.
And we have a warden running around on site, making sure that there's not a single drone. Then the second he gets it ready, he runs up and checks all the drones for flank spots.
Yeah.
And now you have 5 monkeys sprinting around everywhere, and there's nothing you can do.
Yeah,
that terrifies me.
My thoughts kind of went that way too. But I thought it was interesting to think of a way to make his gadget useful throughout the entire course of the round. And is there room for defenders to have a gadget similar to IQ? I guess is.
I think you could do that. I think it should be like it should be very cone dependent, if that makes sense. So like kind of like pulse, where you have to be very accurate with where you look.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine IQ scanner, but like half the size.
Yeah.
Something like that could potentially be a thing, but it will still be insanely strong. Because finding the drones that are set up, like there are whole pro league rounds that are dictated based off one good hidden drone.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Or a claymore that like you could see and call out, because the choice of maybe looking for it or not is what cost you that round, right?
Yeah.
So knowing that and having an operator that can guarantee these things, like imagine Consulate, you can check if there's a Nomad or a Claymore while you're still at the bottom of yellow stairs. You don't even need to like think about if there is one. You just check and then okay, we can run out for the rest of the game here. That's massive.
Yeah. No doubt.
With Warden though, what about making it so his gadget works as kind of reversed of what it does now? So it's active until it's been depleted. So the first flash takes half of his whatever it's called away. The second flash kills it.
So it's not time based.
Yep. Yeah. It's like a stamina bar in a fighting game, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So you'll take like flash damage to your glasses, and once you get past that, basically work like Ying, where you'll throw one or two flashes in there and he'll be immune, but the third one will get him, and then there'll be a 20-second or a 30-second cooldown for him to be able to use it again. But he would basically just straight up ignore the first two flashes.
I kind of like that.
Yeah,
and then he use his ability if he needs to look through smoke.
Okay.
And that would also deplete it.
Yeah. Well,
right. So it's like a two-factor thing.
I would be down with definitely 100% that his gadget is active for the first use of flashes, so that you do not have to activate anything. If somebody throws a flash or whatever, it's automatically going to negate that. And then maybe after that, you have to activate it. Something like that I could definitely see would be really cool. It doesn't make necessarily a lot of logical sense. Why would it work like that? But that doesn't matter to me. I think the gameplay ramifications of that would be really good. Yeah, I like that.
Oh, I'll make it make sense. So Yana she recharges her holograms, right? So all you need to do is you add an animation where he pulls his glasses off and he like charges them on a USB on his vest, and then he puts them back on. Problem solved. That's how you get it back again.
There you are.
It's electrical welding glasses he has. There you go.
You're not an advocate of giving him smoke grenades then, which is the common one I hear, or stun grenades even, or.
Well, stun grenades that'd be way too difficult. If you had to flash and have his thing up and then also push, is like I think he's really, really good as an anchor, but if he starts like you have to peek into your own flash, it's half a second for you to do it. It would just be another Ying, but on defense, and I don't think we should I don't think it should be like pushed for or advocated for that defenders run more away from sight than they already do.
Yeah, it would become quite aggressive.
Yeah.
I think if you gave a defender flash grenades, you would see the frustration with that operator skyrocket. Because at least with smokes, you as an attacker have a choice. In most situations, you're going to have a choice. Okay, the defender just threw a smoke. It's probably the warden. I have a choice on whether I peek that smoke or not. If a defender is on the other side of a door, throws a flash grenade and full blinds me, my choices are now gone. Okay, I'm powerless, and that I don't think that would be good. I really don't. I
mean, imagine what could happen.
Be fun.
You're in Kit's bedroom and Ash is pushing up. She throws a flash in, you go fuck. You throw a flash out. She throws a flash in, you throw. It's a weird Mexican standoff with flashbangs.
Yeah, but you've got the Ying's the hard counter, then, isn't she?
Well, Ying gets flashed by flash grenades.
Oh yeah,
she does.
Yeah.
Well, we have to tie some like USB thing in where she's immune to his.
Here's what you do: if you're an attacker and you get flashed, you just insta dump all of your mags and your grenades all at the same time. So it's at least like a martyrdom from Call of Duty. You know what I mean? You just drop your grenades right next to you.
Flashbangs scare me on defense though. Like imagine a bank take, right? You know they have server. You throw 2 flashes. If we just assume they're the same way as the attacker one, it's not like a specific defender gadget. You throw those 2 in to the door frame, they have to look at the door. That's the only thing they have to worry about. So they're going to get blind. Because you won't have time to turn away. Especially if people start messing around with stuff like bouncing it off the table so it blows up right in the doorway. Because flashes blow up after 1 second of hitting a hard surface, right? This is why you can throw a flashbang up in the roof and then it'll blow up right as it goes through the hatch and blind everyone that's looking at the hatch, which we don't see enough of, by the way. But now imagine that with a defender. People thermiting, good luck covering anything.
Yeah.
You're going to get blinded and yoinked.
The thing is, I could honestly see it, something along those lines happening at some stage because they love to play with these mechanics. So perhaps not the stun grenades as we see them right now, but some form of that I could truly see.
Yeah.
Because there isn't a defensive operator that has that kind of mechanic that is that kind of
works.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he has that sort of nomad thing going on, doesn't he?
Yeah. It's not really the same thing, but
Ella and Echo would probably be the closest ones because
that's true.
They mess with your vision and your sensitivity, whereas the other one just takes your vision completely away for a set amount of time, right?
And people don't throw Ella's Grismots nearly enough. Like you can use those things like flash grenades, and they work like that really well.
You can stop plants.
Stop plants. I mean, if you just get in a gunfight and both of you guys are behind cover, whoop, there you go.
It's actually not that. I think I can't remember what game. We've seen it in Pro League. We've seen someone sit in red hallway on bank, throw Ella mines to stop the fuses. Instead of echoing or instead of smoking.
Yeah.
It's kind of neat because if there's anyone close to like trying to shoot C4s and stuff, it goes off by itself. And it kind of blocks you for a second or two from planting, right? You can't like insta plant right after. And it becomes even harder for them to turn around. So if the guy is planting with his back towards the wall and you throw the Ella mine, he's almost guaranteed to be slowed enough that if you throw a C4 with that Ella mine, he won't be able to actually run away.
I don't want that to become a thing.
It takes a lot of coordination, right?
Yeah.
You need someone with a C4 ready and an Ella sitting there yoinking.
Imagine if she had nitros.
Oh god.
So one thing, we're still talking about the test server here. We've been pretty positive. I mean, it's a good experience overall. The organ rework's good. I'm having fun with the operators. Sound is jacked up though, and I really hope this doesn't make it to the live servers, man. Like, and I know it's kind of like it's almost a meme in Siege to complain about the sound, but there's like very clear problems. Like drones are near silent a lot of the times, which really messes with you as a defender. I do feel like
there's footsteps.
There's a lot of sound propagation issues going on right now, and I'm really hoping that doesn't make it to the live server, man. So
there's one where it sounds like your old Blitz.
Oh yeah. It's double time is what I call it. If you're in the military, it's called double time. Whenever you're marching and you have that one count, and then double time is twice that speed.
But it's weird because it's like your footsteps are faster than you move.
Yes.
It sounds like you have 4 legs or you're galloping or something. Yeah. And it terrifies me when
I've had that with Ying, playing I don't know what they call it now, T-Hunt. I had exactly that. It sounded like I was moving twice as fast. Unfortunately, I didn't record it, but yeah, I think it was just a sound issue rather than a glitch or anything like that. But
you know what we should do?
There's been another one that was sorry.
You know what the three of us should do? We should all set up R6 Fix accounts, which I'm sure we probably all three already have them, and just work together to get each other the Raptor Legs charms. Because I can think of 3 bugs right now that we could all go in and duplicate right now. We could legitimately go in and work together to get that charm. I think there's only I want to say there's only 8 or 9 people in the world that have that charm.
See, I feel super sad because I've sent like direct messages instead of like hidden ones, and I see they're fixed, and I'm like, I want the
I know, me too. The Caveira perspective issue last year at the Invitational, this year, and this actually might still be in the game at this point. The fact that if you flash or stun somebody and they lean to the left, they actually are still leaning to the right.
No, that was fixed.
Okay.
That was fixed.
But yeah, I'm
there's an update for that.
Point of the story is I'm in the same boat as you, but we could. The problem is R6 fix can be a little bit convoluted, and people have to go in there and actually duplicate your bugs. But we could do that for each other. So what do you say? We could all be flexible.
So actually, when we're on that one, I have a feedback. I have a fix for R6 fix.
Oh,
there's
talk about meta.
Really bad idea of sharing glitches publicly to get them fixed. That is not the way to go. Don't make them so other people can see. I know they can get upvoted and all of that, but if people are actually going through the trouble of posting something, putting a video up there, I bet you there are people sitting out there just checking R6 fix to find glitches, right? Like, let's say you find a clash glitch.
Yeah.
You put it up there, and now there's like a super angry Plat 1 guy who's 4 points away from Diamond. He's like, "Ooh, I'm gonna go find the next new thing." There must be people that are abusing it that way. I just don't think it's like you want to keep a secret and you go out and you just yell it out into the void, and then you hope that none of the bad people hear it.
A little gold mine.
That is my little that is my little gripe with R6 fix, and why I just do not post there. I would rather send an email or a message to. I mean, we're in a lucky position where we can do that, and I know not everyone has that privilege, but damn, there are some things that I wish wouldn't have been posted on R6 fix over the time, right?
I just want the Raptors.
I'm kind of. I just want the Raptors.
I'll burn this house down to get it. No, yeah, I get what you're saying. I absolutely do.
It's just my little angry.
No, I get it. Anything else on the test server
what are your thoughts on the new map? Because I was getting a bit confused with it, but I've gone in and I've done some spectating on custom game to really get to grips with it, and I think I've got it down now. I'm really enjoying the changes that they've put in. What do you make of the basement level where you have, I think it's called kitchen?
I think
you have that second. You have the stairwell under the stairwell.
Yes.
I've had a few little battles in there.
Initial reaction with that site now is that you have to roam. You have to keep people from getting freezer control, and it's really hard to do that from inside of freezer.
That's it.
You know what I mean? So so the way that I'm playing it so far, and this is very limited time on it, but the way that I'm playing it so far is to roam around that kitchen bathroom area there to try to keep people out of that staircase. Because if they get that staircase with a thermite, they open that wall right there. They have a huge line of sight right into the objective. So that's kind of my initial reaction right there. I don't know. I don't feel like it's a site where you can turtle anymore. I feel like you're better off having at least 2 roamers.
I have the opposite view on that one. On basement, because if you were to open up the freezer wall yourself, and for example put a deployable shield on the laundry desk or next to it, you can play back in that cubby. Like I think we just called it laundry before. The one with the desk where you normally make the road sit hole.
Yeah.
You could play all the way back there, and anyone that drops the hatch are just dead, right? And coming down the stairs, there's so much you have to worry about because there's a box that you can vault up onto and then lean, and you look over the little locker thing in the freezer. Or fridge, it probably is, seeing as it's a freezer. And you can't get shot from the hatch. Like the freezer hatch is actually kind of bad for attackers, right?
Yeah.
They can open it, but they can't really get any good angles. I did some, I don't know if it works because I've yet to see it tried. But I tried to make like a fake setup in customs today. And you don't have to worry about laundry hatch because there's the lip at the top. They can't actually see anything if they do laundry hatch. Freezer hatch, they don't get that much either. It's more about cutting lines of sight. You can mute the laundry hatch. You can mute garage door completely as well. You can mute some things in kitchen.
That's
from below as well. So for me, they kind of have to attack from construction. I think that's the stronger one.
Let me throw this at you. If you open that freezer wall, what about the wall coming from construction now? Because
there's two walls, isn't there?
I would think that you would want somebody bandit tricking that wall. Ideally, you want to resist that wall, right? I mean, do you know what I'm talking about?
No, so the way I normally look at a map is I assume there's no soft walls, and then I look at where's the perimeter of where people can get in. So if we take basement, you have 3 hatches and you have 3 entries, right? You have freezer stairs. No, sorry, 4. Freezer stairs, laundry stairs, tower stairs, and construction.
Well, construction wise off though. Okay, but one's a wall. Yeah. Go.
Sure, but assume that I open up that soft wall, then there's a door to construction, right?
Yeah, and that's up. I think that's up.
And that's hard breach, or sorry, that's a indestructible wall all the way. Like I find the perimeter of where all the non-destructible stuff is, and then I try to see if it's possible to hold that first, because I'd rather hold it further out and have more time to rotate people to potentially help. If you were to make a rotate into I think it's B site to construction, the new soft wall that is there.
Yeah.
You can hold a crossfire to the construction door. A guy could be playing in B and look through the B door, through the soft wall, and actually see construction door as well. So if you ignore all the soft walls and just assume that you could see through all of it, then there isn't that much for them to go in through, because at some point they have to run through this one double door, or they have to walk downstairs, and walking downstairs is always kind of terrifying, right? And the hatches don't give them that much,
right?
So I'd rather not worry about bandit tricking anything or keeping anything closed, and then deal with them where they can't use their gadgets, because they're going to bring bring a thermite or a Hibana, but it doesn't give them anything if there's nothing for them to breach.
It is terrifying going downstairs, but I feel like they've really taken that into account with the tower stairs. Now, it's probably not my way into that site, but have you noticed where they situated that pillar there?
Yeah.
And they offset the corridor, so where you would lie down on the corridor and you would be able to see people's legs as they come down those stairs. They've completely removed that element of gameplay out of that map now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You actually have to show yourself as a defender to contest it. Well, as far as I could tell.
You just have the problem with the soft wall into B. Because if you open up the soft wall into B at a low level, the attacker will never be able to get a line of sight on you. He has to gamble where you are above, because you'll always be able to see him. So if you're prone with a TSG or something, they're 20 HP by the time they even know anything's happening.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
But I like them.
Yeah, I do too.
Really do.
I do too. I certainly I would assume it's coming into ranked, and I would love to see it considered to go into Pro League. We're hearing rumors. I haven't seen anything official yet, but rumors that Bank is out and that theme park rework is in Pro League, and I would love to see them, maybe remove Border and throw the New Oregon in. I think that Pro League I know that 2 maps is a lot for one season for these guys, but I think we need it. I really do, because with Villa, when Villa was introduced, it took 2 seasons before it wasn't 70% of the team's insta bans. You know what I mean? When Villa was introduced, it didn't get played that often because most teams would just insta ban it for a long time. And then now it's to the point where it's not like the insta ban anymore. So I fully expect that to happen with the theme park rework as well. You're going to see a lot of teams that'll just be their insta ban every single time. So,
but damn, it's interesting to watch a new map being played for the first
time.
Right? I love it.
Yeah, we've talked about it on here. You have this idea of how is this map going to be played, and then you see it for the first time and you're just mind blown. Yeah,
I never considered to do it this way, or wow, you can do this thing, right? It just shows what happens when when you're dedicated to making something work because you both want to and have to. Then I mean, it's different when you have 5 people actually working together to try and make it, instead of 5 people all deciding that they want to do it their way on a map. I really enjoy watching new maps develop, and I know it sucks for competitive players to some extent, having like it's a massive workload. It really is. But entertainment value is through the roof on it.
Yeah,
and I think it's good for viewerships as well, which at the end of the day is what pays bills. And I mean, you don't want it to ever be stagnant. That's not Siege, right? That's some other game where it'll always be the same. Siege is kind of its own thing because it keeps changing.
So, do you remember Clubhouse got a bit stagnant like that before the rework? Did that reworked Clubhouse go straight in? Because I remember prior to that, it was just Church Arsenal and bar stock.
It did
all the time.
So that season we got the Clubhouse rework as well as Villa. Both went straight into Pro League.
Yep. So maybe we could be seeing something similar to that. I'd love to see. I agree with you. It'd be cool if you actually saw two maps go in for that, because of the whole ban thing. Then at least you're guaranteed to see some play time on something new, and then just remove 2 of the more stagnant ones. Are you saying so? Bank is definitely coming out of rank.
These are rumors. I've not seen anything in print.
Right.
This is.
Do we know
stuff that I've seen? This is stuff that I've just seen on Reddit. Is that Bank is out, and I keep forgetting. Theme Park rework is in.
Theme Park. The border thing, was that just speculation?
Yeah, that's just the one that I would probably choose if I was choosing one Pro League map other than Bank.
I'm with you.
To pull out, it would probably be border.
I'd be okay with just having a one map change this split, because House was the next one that was coming out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be mainly casual focused, as far as I know. So throw that in the next split again. Then you could throw in New Oregon or Theme Park or whatever. But I'm 100% with you. I wouldn't be opposed to either Bank, Consulate, or Border making it out. And I really enjoy Consulate, but so little has changed on that map in terms of play. At least it has a new bomb site, and I'm really happy it has that.
Mm-hmm.
It's super interesting when we see it played, especially at SI when we saw all the C4 plays from there. Actually, you know what? Consulate can stay in. It's a good.
The thing I like about Consulate is you never know what site is going to be picked. There are teams that will play all 4 sites first pick. Dark Zero is one of them. They will Dark Zero's first round of defense. You have no idea what site they're going to pick. And
I mean, you have the same with Bank.
Yes. Well,
to some extent.
Yeah, I would say to a lesser degree, but yeah.
Like if it's a French team, there's a good chance it's Oregon or open area. Sorry.
Yeah.
But I think that the issue with Bank is the basement. It's so boring to watch basement.
It really is.
There are 2 good ways to play it. Either you massively roam or you massively bunker.
Yeah.
It's the new Oregon basement from.
It is. Yeah, that's a good comparison.
And those are just, they're not that interesting. There needs to be more than 2 ways into sight theoretically, unless you think of hatches, right? There's garage main stairs, which is basically almost the same entry, and then you got dirt tunnel and blue tunnel. It's very, very limiting. At least new Clubhouse, you have the whole blue tunnel, you got main door, you got dirt, and then you got an extra route into blue. There needs to be a little bit more play, because it also has something to do with how easy it is for the defenders to leave.
Yeah.
And you can't leave through garage, so you can only leave through blue stairs and main stairs, right? Unless you have Oryx, which it's going to be a while before they have him.
The most exciting part of Bank Basement is if they decide to play blue stairs. That's the exciting moment in the round.
Yeah.
And then, beyond that, it's like the same thing every time. But
I feel like in the past we've seen hatch drops and stuff, though, from the lobby, going way back. It's just you get to a point where you get to the most proficient way of attacking a site, and they've worked out that is just too risky to do that.
Yeah.
Even in ranked, I don't like doing that, and it's often the most unguarded way into that site. For me, when I play like solo queue and stuff. But the thing is, you then have to contend with going through that lobby area and the stairs above, and I'm always running into issues there. Even if I come through that side window above garage, you always have the stairs up there where you see some lurker, try to take your head off. But I'd love it if they mixed it up a little bit more. But I mean, there's good reason they don't do that.
I think a good basis for maps in general is to make sure that there's always 3 routes to change floors, and then make sure that there's always. I think this is more or less a rule in map making in Siege, because if you look at all the new maps that have come out, they always have at least one bomb site where there's a soft floor, always, right? Except for Oregon Basement, I think, which is the newest one. Like in Clubhouse, you have Armory into Kitchen, and like you always have something where there's some soft destruction play to and from the bomb site, like Theme Park Rework, Armory, right? Armory Throne Room.
Yeah.
You can open up above half of the site, and there'll always be 3 routes up. So it isn't just, you can't just leave 2 people and then everything's cut off.
Right.
I'm not a fan of that. I know it's still there on Cafe, but at least top floor on Cafe is so immensely strong that it doesn't seem to like mess over the defenders too much. It's kind of scary if there's only 2 routes, because it's too easy to log off. On
both sides, really. It makes for boring gameplay.
Yeah.
I think that you're absolutely right on that front. One thing I wanted to get your guys' opinion on that happened over the last week, and we can come back to the TTS if you guys still want to talk about it, but the fact that we hit a new all-time high on this game, according to Steam charts. It's only Steam charts. Everybody knows that disclaimer. It's only counting players on Steam, which is a fraction of the player base, but it's kind of crazy that we hit a new all-time high. The previous all-time high of concurrent players was set during Outbreak, which, to think about what's going on right now, there's a large portion of the player base that's in the test server right now, taken away from that number. The new season is not out yet. It's not over a free weekend, and it's kind of crazy that this has happened. I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that, just if it's something that jumped out to you like that.
Pug. That's my thought.
Yeah.
A big pug. No, it's amazing. I think it's pretty legit that it's not just Steam, though. I'm almost certain that it's just higher player numbers, because was it I think it was Leroy that retweeted a picture of the Steam chart, right? I think it's probably not just Steam. I think if we look at all the numbers, they're just probably all climbing. I don't know what did it though.
Okay, Debbie Downer moment. I'm gonna go Debbie Downer on you.
All right.
This is what I heard on some, I think it was a Twitter comment or something. And it actually makes sense once you hear it. The person is saying that it's because of the coronavirus that schools you're laughing, but listen to this. Schools in China are closed, and they don't start back until March or April, I guess, depending on how, when they get this cleared up. And the theory is that all the kids in China are home from school all day now. But
do you really think
so? First of all, did they have Steam in China?
You see, I saw you tweeting out asking about.
Yes.
Okay, now I know.
And I got mixed answers on that. Like half the people were like, "No, they don't have Steam in China," and or a lot of people were saying that China has their own version of the game, and therefore those numbers wouldn't reflect the China numbers.
How many?
I don't have
no idea
at home though.
I think you can see that on Steam charts. Actually, I think you can see where like a majority of players are from. Can you?
I don't know.
Isn't there a way to like look that up?
I don't know.
I think
they play a different version of the game.
I thought they did. I thought they did play a different version, but either way, let's not take away from the moment. We hit
no.
Siege hit a new. It may be because of coronavirus, but either way,
nah. All right, we're photoshopping in a tinfoil hat on Flank for this one.
Tweet us a tinfoil hat on.
No, okay, all right. So I'll continue down this road. No, Counter-Strike just hit all-time high as well. Counter-Strike is hitting like record high numbers as well, and there's something going on. There is. It might be that, it might not, but there's something going on.
Are you saying that Ubisoft may have started a virus outbreak?
The next Splinter Cell is going to be about the Splinter Cell taking down. It's going to be a huge meta game.
That's basically it's all just PR for quarantine.
Oh, there we go.
Jeez.
Cracking.
I think this is where we need for people that are only listening to the audio version, we need like a verbal kappa or something, so people know that we're messing about.
Yeah.
But no, I thought it was awesome.
Yeah. What do we know what because from time to time the official Twitter account tweets out a total player count. Do we know roughly where we're at?
Last number I think I heard was 55 million.
Which is really high. It's incredible. But the reason I've been looking over here is because I was looking at. I've been playing on a new account in Siege, and apparently I've played just under 50 hours. But according to R6 Tracker, that's rank 3.3 million. So I guess I'm putting a Debbie Downer on it and saying we've got 55 million registered players. But how many hours are they playing? And is there more that we could be doing?
That would be on PC alone. And that would be only people who have played the current season, correct?
Right. So I've played, 50 hours of this season, according to these stats? Or is that total?
I don't know.
I don't think it would track you at all unless you have 50 hours and are above level something. Okay. I also, I mean, let's just assume that we have an even split between like PC and console, which I know we don't, right? Like there's more console players than PC, I assume.
Oh, PS4. PS4's the big one.
Yeah. I don't know how that whole tracking thing works, but of course there's going to be a ton of accounts that aren't that high, right?
Right.
Yeah, I suppose I wasn't trying to be negative. I suppose my point was, is that telling us that people pick up the game, play for 10 hours, and think, do you know what?
I think a lot of people do.
Yeah, this is too much. Well, this is just I'm not. And then
I got scared away in beta. Like I played in beta and I died to like a weird destruction hole. And I went, you know what? Fuck this. Like, what is this? Why do I need to learn like about every wall in a map to be able to even move? And now it's pretty much the one thing keeping me coming back. I think it's a very like it's a game where you either get scared away and then you might come back again and you're like, I want to give it another try, and then you might stick around. But like, I don't think there's anything shameful in saying that it's a really difficult game to get into and enjoy right away.
To counter your point though, Pete, like the number of games sold or number of accounts, I could care less about that. It's like a PR thing. It's a big headline, 50 million players, you know. But concurrent players, that's a real number. Like that's you're right. That's the number of people playing this game right now. And
dude, console, Uplay. I honestly think a lot of people play for a Uplay on PC. I do. Oh yeah, most of my friends do.
Yeah,
I mean, you still got to give credit to concurrent players is of course like probably the most interesting number, but active accounts like accounts that are, you know, like actually bought the game, that still matters quite a lot, because even if one guy bought like 3 or 4 different accounts, even if they were on sale, that still shows something about like the interest or the dedication for the game, right?
Yeah.
And if one game has 10 million and one has 20 and one has 60, then the one with 60 could, I mean, we could assume that's more popular, even if all of them is just 10 million people having 6 accounts. I don't think it matters what number if we're looking at concurrent or active users, or they're all kind of PR numbers anyway, because we don't know, like, is it just, like 10,000 people that just got the game and is going to play for 5 hours? Like, are they going to stay? Right? It's really hard to measure that and figure out if it's a good or a bad thing. But it's just weird seeing this increase when the season hasn't released yet.
What is the concurrent peak that you spotted?
90K or something?
No, it was 178,000.
And that means that
charts.
during a 1 hour period, there was that number of people online at that time.
There was at that moment there were 178,000 people playing, and that's the all-time high. And again, think about how many people were in the test server during that, because that was just the other day.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. I think a lot of it might be the success of the finals and the big reveal with all this new content.
Mm-hmm.
It gets people talking about it.
Yep.
I've had conversations with people that haven't played Siege in a while, again, talking about the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that might be a big part of it.
I think it's because my videos are so good. People just watch them. And this is where we insert that Kappa thing.
It'd be really fun to see how much impact a big esport event has on the player state right after, because it, like, I guess I'm the Debbie Downer, but there's no hiding that esport for almost everything it's a PR thing, right? It's to get people interested in your game. It's to make people want to play more, take it more serious, get it more out there. Like it's about getting people in, right?
Yeah, so in reinvestment.
Yeah, it's a
publicity.
branding thing for a game. So I assume that you have to see a player increase after big events. Like you have to, otherwise it wouldn't be worth it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if Invitational could really be the reason that we saw that, or if it's Chinese schools being closed
with the coronavirus.
Yeah, a little bit.
It might be a mix of both. Yeah.
But think about it. Think about
the coronavirus. I prefer not to, Pete. It's depressing.
But think about it like a set of dominoes. So the first domino that sets it all going is the Invitational. But then you have people watching on Twitch, streamers picking it up and playing, their viewers then watching that. You have journalists that are going out to the Invitational, writing articles that are top of, I don't know, PC Gamer or whatever. And again, it all filters down into the subculture where the game is becoming more part of people's consciousness and they're becoming aware of it. So it's clever marketing, really. The idea of having an esports thing around a game.
I think we're extremely lucky with Siege, where we have all these groups of people that are interested in Siege for different reasons. So you got cosplayers, you got the people that make art, you got esport people, you got casual players, but having such a wide branch of people that are interested, even if one of them falls a little, that doesn't necessarily have to impact any of the other ones. And that's probably pretty good, because I assume, I don't know if this is true, but I assume if CS has a bad esport year, that probably has a pretty big impact on players in general.
Yeah.
Like I don't see massive cosplay communities or art communities around CS. Maybe it exists and maybe I just haven't seen it.
I mean, they had a subculture of loot boxes and
that is true.
Yeah, that was a thing at one point, wasn't it? I don't know if that's continuing. I've never been in there.
I'm gonna make an alpha pack opening stream only.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned articles and stuff. There's a couple of articles that are starting to trickle out now that were interviews during Invitational that I've found really interesting. The first one that really came to mind for me was I believe it was Windows Central, a Windows Central article, and it was with Leroy Asanoff, who I guess it would be. Is he the product manager for?
No,
he's at the top of Rainbow Six Siege.
I think he's the Xavier Marquis.
Yes. Well, game director. Okay. So he's at the top of Rainbow Six Siege right now. But it was an interview with him, and it was talking about that Rainbow Six Siege will be available on the next generation of consoles at launch. They're working on cross-platform, and they're working on cross-generation as well as cross-generation progression and cross-platform progression. Okay,
that's massive.
It's huge.
So, just one quick thing, just a big shout out to the Matt Brown who wrote that. I do know him. He's a really cool dude. So I just want to give him credit for that. Sure. But you know that you're right. It's gigantic, this idea. Because if you've put 2 years into a game, you've unlocked all these cosmetics, and then you pick up the new console, it could almost put you off playing Siege again, because it's like, damn, man, like I've got to unlock. I had Black Eye skins, dude. Do you know what I mean? So if you can log into that account on your new Xbox or your new PlayStation 5, whatever it's called, I think that's a deal breaker for a lot of people.
Yep.
I think going from console to PC is one thing. I'd be fine with it being there. I don't see the massive outrage of it not being there. It's
the cross generation.
It's difficult if it wasn't built to start with, but with jumping from PS4 to PS5, like, of course you should keep your stuff. Otherwise, why would you upgrade?
Yeah, 100%.
And I think they need to be able to play against each other. That's another thing that I think. I don't think it was said in the article that's 100%, but it is something that they're working on, is to make sure that a PS5 user will be able to play in the same lobbies against PS4 users, so that people don't get.
I mean, hopefully
people don't get. They don't divide the player base. Now, there was a really funny quote in there, and again, I don't have the article up in front of me, so I'm going to be paraphrasing here, but he was asked about cross-generation between PC and console, and he was basically saying that cross-platform between PC and console, and he was saying that the higher priority is cross-platform between Xbox and PlayStation, and it makes sense, they're on the same playing field, but that he doesn't really see the urgency for console to PC, because something along the lines of, they might make it possible, and if a console player wants to go over to PC and get his ass beat by keyboard and mouse users, then they'll be able to do that, or something like that. I just thought it was funny that he literally said like that console players are going to have a hard time playing against keyboard and mouse users, which it was funny, but it also presents another.
It's also true.
It's absolutely true, and it also brings up another point, which is that Xbox and PlayStation have to solve the mouse and keyboard issue on the next generation of consoles. If it's the same story again next generation, it's going to be a sad tale of console players just not being able to have a fair competitive setting in Rainbow Six Siege, and it's not the fault of Ubisoft. It's 100% on Sony and Microsoft at this point to get that right for the next generation.
It's so difficult. So if that whole thing, if you go far enough back to PlayStation 2, when you had to plug in your actual modem to the back of the PlayStation. Do you remember that? You got a little box you had to like screw in to get Ethernet connection. There was a thing called Game Shock, which was like I can't remember if it was like a memory card or a disc you put in or something. You put it in, and then basically it would give you like cheats on certain games, right? And there was modded things for these things where you'd get lag switches. You could plug in different controllers that had like auto shoot or not auto shoot, like a macro basically, so it would spam trigger things. And after those things started like being popular and being sold, making all these adapters and shit for the mouse and keyboard, and like that slowly became a thing, right? Because they found a way to bypass some of this. And the thing that's so good about console is that it's closed system, so you decide what is allowed in to some extent. But there's like if you have a thing that emulates your mouse and keyboard onto a controller, then god damn it, it's got to be difficult to fix.
I think the only way that they can do it is to somehow make it that only licensed products will be allowed to provide input on the machine. And again, that's not going to be foolproof, but they've got to do something. They've got to do something.
There's a licensed PlayStation mouse and keyboard.
Yeah, but that doesn't work in Siege.
But it won't work in a controller lobby, Pete. That's the whole thing. It doesn't. You know what I mean? Like, it'll detect, hey, this is a mouse and keyboard. If I'm playing Fortnite with that, it's going to put me against PC users. And that's fine.
That's what I want.
Yeah, exactly. I want that as well.
That's what I want.
The problem is when they plug in a Cronus Max or whatever it is, and they have a device that is using mouse and keyboard but emulating controller, and the PlayStation doesn't know the difference.
So I mean, that's what they need to. Sorry. That's what they have to do, because even let's say you just allow mouse and keyboard, then you just mess it up for everyone. Like me, if I play console, I play it on my couch, leaned back with a controller.
Yeah.
I don't want to play against people that are sitting in front of a monitor, lean forward, and flick shotting left and right even with an allowed mouse and keyboard. Then you have to make different lobbies, but there would definitely be people who would on purpose get in the controller lobby, even if they allowed mouse and keyboard, as someone that just played against a PC pool of players or a mouse and keyboard pool of console players. There will still be people who on purpose go to controller only and abuses it there, right?
Try and unplug it and plug in the mouse. And if they could have a system whereby that couldn't be sort of sidestepped in that way, I would be in favor of allowing console players to use mouse and keyboard in mouse and keyboard only servers and against PC players, because if it's what they want to do, I'm cool with that, so long as they're not playing against people who are going in with controller, sitting on their sofa and playing that way. I'm also in favor of people with controllers. Say it's ironic, you're doing a stream and you say, I'm going to play with my viewers today, and they're like, oh, I'm on Xbox, and you're like, I'm sorry, dude, I'm on PC. If he could play with you, but it's like an option that he has to select, he knows. And generally speaking, if you're playing with controller, you're only going to be playing with controller people. But if you select this option, you can go and play with people on mouse and keyboard, but you know what you're getting into, and you can turn it off after, and you won't go into those servers. I would be in favor of something like that. And I had a really long conversation with Grief Drums about this in Montreal, and I was putting forward that argument. But he said that some of the weapons in the game, or the recoil, is balanced slightly differently on console, which I wasn't aware of. And of course, then it would be an issue to pair someone on console with someone on PC if they're playing with different recoil, and if the game isn't 100% the same mechanically across all of the platforms, then it could be a bit of a can of worms, I suppose. That's something that they would have to overcome, unless it could revert to PC settings somehow.
Yeah,
I think it's good enough if we get console crossplay and console generation transfer, because it is extremely difficult for me to justify playing a game on a PS4, buying a PS5, and then having to do everything over again.
Yeah.
If you want a game that lasts 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, you kind of gotta, take care of that.
I want to throw a spanner in the works, though. Do you mind? And see what your thought. All right. So, we talk about, rightfully so, people on console playing with controllers do get super, super hacked off with people basically cheating
with mouse and keyboard. Yeah.
So so you're on the new Xbox, I'm on the old Xbox. I've got 65 FOV. You're playing with 80 or 90. You've got 120 hertz monitor. Apparently the new Xbox is 120 frames per second. I'm playing on what is it, 30 or 60? 60. So I could already start saying, if I don't have the choice to opt out, you're getting a hardware advantage over me. You've got better graphics, you've got better frame rate, you've got a higher field of view. You've got to argue that is potentially an advantage.
No, it's a selling point.
Yeah, well, yeah. Everyone go get the new Xbox and PlayStation. But you know what I'm saying? I can already anticipate that.
You're 100% right.
I agree, but
you're 100%.
Same on PC though.
Yeah, exactly. PC players have been dealing with that for how long? Okay. And here's the truth, okay? Because we can sit here and talk about it all day, and playing at 120 frames compared to 60 frames is an advantage. Playing at 85 field of view compared to 60 is an advantage, but it's not night and day. Playing Rainbow Six Siege on mouse and keyboard versus playing it on a controller is night and day. And that is what the difference is, okay? So, yes, we
accept it as PC gamers, though, that people have different hardware. I don't know if console gamers will be so accepting.
I don't think they will.
I mean, no, they probably won't. But just that's how it is.
Yes, exactly.
They're not. Do you want new hardware or not? Do you want a gen shift or not? Right. It's not the end of the world, because if you look at performance in esports from back when we were on like old school PS2 connected keyboards. Sure, PS2 is one of the fastest connectors. I'm not talking about PlayStation, the PS2 connector for those people, and a ball mouse and a monitor, right? Performance from back then to now isn't like, we haven't seen people get twice as good, even though all of our equipment are 10 times as fast or 10 times as good, right? The same with delays. Like we're hunting these 1 millisecond delays when most people have reaction times of like 170 and above, right? It is extremely rare to find people that are faster than that. And your 60 hertz is what, 16 milliseconds, I think, in between. And 120 is 8 milliseconds or something, like frame time. And then 240 is 6 instead of 8 or some stuff there. It matters, but if you take a good player on the high settings and you take a bad player on the low settings and you swap them around, the good player is still winning. Like that's pretty much the important thing. If you were really good on PS4, you're still going to be really good against people on PS5. So,
yeah, I feel like I've put a real negative spin on something that is so positive here, because ultimately this is great news. It's amazing. The idea that it's amazing news. So basically, in a nutshell, if you get your new console, you're going to be able to log in. Hopefully, it looks like you're going to be able to log in with your current account, have all of your stuff that you have now, be able to play with your friends if they don't cross over and get the new PlayStation or Xbox this Christmas. If they're still on the old one, looks like you're still going to be able to play with them. That's great news.
It is. And we should probably say that if we go back and read the article, I'm sure that he didn't lock himself in. It's probably worded in a way of, we're working on this. This is our goal.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I think that we could probably say that Rainbow Six Siege will be available on the next generation of consoles at launch. I think that beyond that, we're going to say that they're trying to work on make sure that they are available to play cross generation and maybe even potentially cross platform. And they're also looking at cross generational progression. That's probably the PR statement from that. You know what I mean?
I mean, we also got to remember, we're taking stuff from a verbal interview that was written down that we then read, right? So it's like, take it with a grain of salt. This is what we hope for. The
other article I saw that I thought was really interesting was again Leroy talking to I believe his name is Morgan Park from PC Gamer, and he was talking about the game going free to play, and he basically said that he would love to see the game go free to play, and he thinks that most of the dev team would love to see the game go free to play, but there's a lot of things that they need to. But the game's not ready to go free to play. Basically, there's a lot of things that would need fixed and changed in order to make it free to play. And he specifically mentioned smurfing as a huge issue and concern of why the game isn't free to play right now.
Yeah, that's we've had these discussions before, and broadly I'm in favor of this idea of going free to play. But if I remember rightly, a lot of the arguments put against it were, number one, cheating. Smurfing and cheating, having multiple accounts where there's no disincentive to do that. And also, there needs to be some sort of reward for the loyal supporters who perhaps have bought multiple copies of the game over the years, which I think could be done with some exclusive type skins or an elite skins or multiple elite skins. It's like, hey, no one can get this if they haven't already paid for the game. This is just for you guys, the OG guys that have been with us from the start. But broadly speaking, for the future of the game, it could be massive.
Just get like a legacy icon next to your name on the scoreboard, right? Like
that would be wicked as well.
It doesn't even have to be. It doesn't have to be anything big. Just a little, rub on the shoulder, saying, what, thanks for being some of the first. Even if you're a year 4 player, right, that started in year 4, you still made a massive impact on the game. I'm 50-50 with free to play, so I'm fully in favor on it, but there's a lot of little caveats, right? Skins and microtransactions need to make enough money that it would not be a loss in any way to make it free to play. because there's no way that development gets cheaper with next gen coming in, all of that stuff, all the core changes that are coming, like all that quality of life shit that we're hoping to see. That costs something. So there needs to be enough microtransactions or skins and battle passes, whatever, in there. And I feel like that's that one thing that even if it goes free to play, people are going to be a little bit upset about that. And also, I mean, League of Legends, Dota, CS are all free to play, right? Apex, free to play.
Yep, it is. Yeah.
They all do pretty damn well. PUBG is free to play as well, I think now. I'm not sure. It's just kind of the standard, and you hit a market that you otherwise wouldn't hit. You're going to see completely different player numbers. And it's not because all the cheaters are coming in the second it turns free to play. That doesn't change that much. It might add a few more, but you get like entire parts of countries will have access to the game now, where spending the amount of money that it costs now maybe isn't as viable, right? Like League pretty much did what it did because it started free to play, and it cost nothing to test. So if we can just keep 1 in 100 of the people that try it out extra on free to play, well, that's a massive increase in the community, right? But yeah, cheating is the scary thing. I just don't think that people that are truly dedicated to being assholes and cheat, or scared away by, I don't know, what does Siege even cost now?
I don't know, because I own 4 or 5 copies of the game for recording. I think
you can get it for like $5.
I want to say $8. $8.
Yeah, okay. So $8 if you're doing everything completely by the rules, and you're outstanding good citizen, not messing around with cheaper ways to get it. But people that cheat are gonna do that. So they're gonna get, cheaper accounts. I'm sure 2-factor has a massive impact on that, because stolen accounts must have dropped. It must have gotten harder to get those super cheap stolen accounts that they've otherwise been getting, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy how cheap it is, actually.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What is it?
Here's
I see it for £9.
Yeah. There every time that you mention free to play, there are a loud group of people who will step up and raise concerns, and they're 100% legitimate concerns. I don't mean to discount them at all, but the fact of the matter is, there are other games that are free to play that have made it work. There are other games that are free to play that have figured out how to deal with Smurfs, how to deal with hacking, how to deal with all the problems that are associated with free to play games. Okay. I think that the unique set of circumstances that Rainbow Six Siege has is, number one, that there's a large group of people who purchased the game before it was free to play, and then it wasn't free to play from the beginning. CS:GO would be a decent model to look at as far as how to traverse those waters, because that was a game that was, you had to pay for a long period of time, and then eventually went free to play. And then the other thing that I would say is that if you look at free to play games, probably the only one that has as much of a following on console as Siege does is Apex Legends. And again, you would probably
Fortnite.
What's that?
Fortnite.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, Fortnite and Apex would probably be
what game?
Yeah, Fortnite is dead to me. Fortnite doesn't even exist. If it's not a first-person shooter, I don't care. No, but yeah, I mean, there. I guess my point is that there are people who have done this before and made it work, and I would like to see it eventually go that way personally.
One of the other things that I thought's ironic hit on as well, I don't know if it was intentional, but with regards to the monetizations, in a way, I might be quite disappointed if the monetization changed from how it is right now to something more predatory. So I haven't played Apex Legends since probably following the first sort of 4 months after release, but I don't like the way that game. I didn't like the monetization in that game particularly. Now, I accepted it was a free game and it was a really enjoyable game, but I just remember, forgive me if I'm wrong, but there was something that came out every season and you had a one in such shot of getting this thing, and you had to spend a small fortune to guarantee that you get it every season. And that's the sort of thing that I don't want to see sort of seep into Siege, because yes, there's lots of ways that they monetize the game right now, but I don't think any of them are predatory. Like even the way they do the seasonal alpha packs, you're not having to unlock 200 to get that skin that you want. I guess you're gonna get you. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I don't want it to go down that way where they get the money.
Yeah.
Even if it is only cosmetics,
imagine alpha packs could be bought with real money, but the game went free to play. For me, I think I'm like a decent adult when it comes to that stuff, but I would spend way more money, way more, and I would hate it because I keep buying alpha packs, right? And sure, my own argument against people that dislike battle passes and all that still stands. Just don't buy it, right? But I like the monetization that we have in Siege right now.
Yeah,
there is almost nothing to complain about. We get most stuff. Well, actually, we get all play content for free.
All the maps.
Right? Yeah. All maps, all operators, all of that, all changes, updates, all of that is free. And then we can buy extra stuff to make the experience a little quicker, or to skip certain parts, or to get more skins. I would be extremely sad if that ever changed.
I agree.
So that's the one thing that's a detraction that people will have. They'll say like that's a concern if this went free to play, that you'd then have to deal with that. And I must say that's is a concern for me. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, isn't there, like, at some point don't you have to say, okay, so there's a chance that your character might not wear the same pair of shoes as your friends? Are you able to accept that?
If it's limited to cosmetics.
Yes.
Yes. You could go way more aggressive if it's free.
You're right. I'm not even going to go down that road because I agree with you. But I just think that I'm just way lenient on how people sell cosmetic items in a game. If they're stat altering, that's when the whole game changes. But if it's only a cosmetic item, it's like, guys, it's just a cosmetic item. You know what I mean? Like, what's the big deal?
I look at it that way with take Glacier. So people are going to be really mad now. I don't care that you can't get Glacier. That's for the people that were there when it was available. That was why it was a limited time thing. If you start giving it out now, then there was no point in us getting it back then.
Yeah.
Right? That's the whole point. We have Black Eyes in Alpha Packs, which is that little unicorn horn or chicken tooth you can hunt, right?
Yeah.
And that's okay. It's just goddamn skins. You can only wear one at a time anyway on each gun, right? It's not like we have some sort of thing where it'll show out your top 10 skins every time you shoot and it just blinks through them so you can show off. But what if let's say operators all of a sudden, for everyone that didn't buy the game, everyone that got the free to play one, were locked for a month?
What if you got an alpha pack which had 20% extra stopping power?
Oh no! Don't even go down that road.
Stop it.
I quit COD for a reason.
Let me. Okay. I don't think that's realistic what you mentioned, Alex. I think it would be more realistic to go this way. If you got the game free to play, you would not be able to unlock the operators with renown. I think that's the direction that they would be much more likely to go, which would not be cool in my opinion, because I think at the end of the day, the thing that Rainbow Six Siege can still say is that everything in this game, other than a few elites and cosmetic items, can be unlocked just by playing the game. And I think that's important.
It would have been fine if buying all the operators would amount to the base price of the game at that time, right? Like then it would make sense. So if you could buy every single operator for £9, then okay, because then look at it like a free sample that you can actually make into your full version. But let's be fair. If we go down to how many operators do we have now?
52. 54 counting Orcs and Yana.
Okay, so 54 operators. The amount of time it'll take you to earn those, even if you start with 10 on each side, the amount of time it'll take you to earn those through renown. If we then start saying that maybe renown is less as well on a free to play and stuff like that, I'm only a fan of free to play if it doesn't in any way impact the actual experience of playing the game.
We've already crossed that bridge with the starter game.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yes.
It was really cheap, but then made it a massive grind to unlock anything. And everyone everywhere recommended to their friends, never ever get that, even if it is half the price.
How many people?
So we
At
can't.
least the first one got cancelled.
Yeah.
So,
the first pack.
It could just be free to play, right? You get the base operators, but you can upgrade for £15-20 or dollars, and you get all of the DLC. You know, that seems to me reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a hard nut.
It is
to figure out.
It is, and at the end of the day, if you have a PC that's capable of running Siege, you probably have $8 to spend on the game right now. Probably. But I know.
Yeah, most likely.
But that might not be true for a lot of console owners out there, but it is what it is. Did you guys want to wrap it up here? I think for the viewers, we're all a little bit under the weather. But if there's anything that you guys wanted to go over moving forward, then I'm happy to talk about it and stay a little longer. But
I think we covered pretty much what we planned on. I don't think I have anything else.
There's a lot of movement going on in Pro League right now. I mean, we could just mention real quick. It looks like Reciprocity has dropped Nixon Retro, and we don't know who they're picking up yet. It looks like Citizen has been benched on Navi. And there's a lot of movement going on up there. Maybe next week we'll be able to provide you with some closure on how those rosters are actually shaping up and stuff.
The shuffle's going to be spicy.
Yeah, that's what we're hearing. Big changes EU.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've seen tweets and stuff about that already, so I can't wait to see what.
A lot of eyes out there.
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm seeing.
All right, well, I guess we'll wrap it up there, guys. A little bit of a shorter episode for you this week. We'll be back next week, hopefully feeling a little bit better. And, let us know down in the comments of the video, any suggestions for topics if you liked, this format of just us kind of talking a little bit looser, or if you prefer the more structured format. We're always looking for feedback on that as far as, what you guys are thinking. And with that said, we'll see you guys next week.